Tommy Daniels here on the Red, White, and You podcast. Pleased to be joined by a man. Listen to these numbers. 10 NFL seasons, 479 receptions for 7,988 yards, 51 touchdowns in 142 games. He also had 26 100-yard receiving games and even rushed for 84 yards. Now, those are the kind of numbers I want if I'm picking my fantasy football team. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only number 80, the great Tony Hill.
Hey, Tommy, where were you 20 years ago? I could have used you, buddy. I like that intro. It's beautiful.
Well, let me tell you, it's do you play fantasy football?
I don't. As being a former player, I don't want to be an armchair, quarterback. So I just kind of watch it and enjoy it.
Well, you were a part of the greatest Cowboy teams ever. And what's amazing is I look at your numbers here from 1979. We'll see if you even remember how good you were this year. You had 1,062 yards. You had 10 touchdowns that year. Drew Pearson only had 8, and he had 1,026 yards. What was so special about 79 for you?
Well, I think the thing that really gets overlooked is the fact that Drew, myself, and Tony Dorsett, we were the first 3 NFC players to ever have 1,000 yards received, 1,000 yards on a team in 1 year. Of course, before that, it was Air Coryell with the San Diego Chargers with Charlie Joyner, Kevin Winslow, and of course, I can't think of the other wide receiver, John Jefferson. But during our era on the NFC East, which was NFC was more of a pass. It was more of a run set pass during our era initially, and for us, the 3 of us to accomplish that was amazing. What I remember most about that is that we were playing big time and we were enjoying the process.
When you were playing, and obviously, America's team, right? The Dallas Cowboys, Tex Schramm, Tom Landry, you mentioned all the stars around you. Did you realize at that time how good you guys really were and how much you would be looked at, those teams, as we go through history, how good that group of players really were?
Well, you never realize how really good you are until after the fact. That's just a natural. It's just a natural facet of life. But the bottom line is that, when we played, I did recognize that here on offense, you had Tony Dorsett, Drew Pearson, Billy Joe Dupree, Robert Newhouse, Ed Too Tall Jones, Randy White, Harvey Martin. We had Cliff Harris, Charlie Waters. Yeah, I knew we had something special with those names I just mentioned.
How often do you still talk to a lot of your teammates, Dorsett? Obviously, Drew Pearson still here in Dallas, like yourself. How often do you talk to those guys or get together?
Well, we don't get together as often as we like, really not that much. But last year, actually right before COVID, so I got to look at 2 years ago, I had all the guys. I had a company called Legend Sports Promotions, and essentially I just got with athletes and we did public appearance, speaking engagement, autograph sessions together, and we went out, but we were legends. That's what we did. And so a couple of years ago, to be exact, about this time, right before the pandemic, we had we had a little special birthday party for Tony Dorsett, and the guys that showed up were Drew Pearson and Billy Joe and Cliff Harris, and to make everything to solidify that evening, we had my idol, which that's pretty impressive when you can say you play with a guy that you idol. But we had Captain Comeback come back there, and I'm referring to Roger Staubach, but in my opinion, without a question, the number one quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, without question, but truly the top 5 in the game, without a question.
So fans always want to know, what are you doing after football? I know what you're doing because I have the pleasure of seeing you a lot, during the hockey season and of course our big event that's coming up. And I'm so happy to hear that it's back. Allen USA, of course, Market Street's been the big sponsor of that for a long time. And I know last year was a tough year. We missed not being a part of that, but you have some good news about this year.
Yeah, you guys have always been special. We've been really fortunate. We've really got some great partners, and you say that. I'm the resource development manager for the city of Allen. What does that mean? I oversee all the special events. I'm the liaison from a marketing standpoint with the city of Allen. I also am involved from a procurement standpoint in reference to sponsorships and et cetera. But also my goal is really to make things happen. I kind of feel the similarity between being on a football field and my profession. I was always that kind of guy that made things happen, and that's what I kind of like. So the big event that you're talking about for the folks that are listening out here, I oversee an event that it basically is a one-day event. It begins at 4:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, ends at 10, and there's 80,000 people there. I mean, now I don't think your audience really heard me. A one-day event that begins at 4 p.m. That has concert, it has bounce houses, it has kids zones. We got Are You as Tough as a Cowboy Combine zone where I had Cole Beasley out there, Tony Dorsett, and Ed Too Tall Jones perform. But an event that has 80,000 people on a 150-acre park from 4 p.m. to 10:30, basically, watching fireworks. And the luxury that we have, Tommy, and I'm just going to go into detail, it's called Market Street Allen USA. So if you guys have a chance, go look it up. It's a great event, but it's presented by Texas Health Allen. They're phenomenal. They've been a partner of ours for many years. When I first came to Allen, I was on the board of the Texas Health Allen, their board, the hospital. I was on their board, and as well as Credit Union of Texas. They're another big player for us, and they're huge for us. And of course, always having the Allen Americans at our event, puts the icing on the cake. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good.
Well, I know you'd rather have the Ice Angels there than me, but let me tell you, we'll all be there. I'm excited about it. What is the date this year, Tony?
Hey, excuse me. Hey, the date is, I'm sorry about that, is June 26th. So June 26th, it's going to be a little condensed, not like what we normally had. We're just kind of getting back into things. We'll have a concert and some fireworks out there, and we'll have some food courts out there, and so people get a chance to really enjoy, kind of get back out there. We won't have the traditional 80,000, but we cut that to within a quarter. So maybe 20% of that, 25% of that group will invite, and it'll be good. It's at Celebration Park. June 26th, begins at 4 p.m. It will be registration only, and we'll have more information coming out. So Tommy, on your podcast, this is the first time that this information has been released. So you are truly the man. You got it out of me, baby.
Well, you know what? And I've had thanks to you, I've had the pleasure to meet some big names that have been through here. Lou Graham of Foreigner, who I had my Allen Americans jersey on. And he said, "Well, I'm a hockey fan. I'm from Rochester, and I love the Rochester Americans." So I've actually got a chance to meet a lot of the big names. Michael McDonald was through here, a few years ago. I know you've had a lot of big names. Who's going to be the headline band on the stage this year?
Well, it won't be a national known band. They're going to be a locally known band, and they're a band that everybody loves. The group is called Emerald City Band.
Oh yeah.
These guys turn it out. Michael McDonald, good friend of his from the standpoint from a business standpoint. We're not close friends. We know one another. I'm a huge fan of Minute by Minute. All of his songs. I'm into Michael McDonald. But we had Lou Graham, as you mentioned. We had Kool and the Gang. We had.
Oh yeah.
We had some. We had the Bengals out here. They were a hot group, and we had Eddie Money was one of the guys that participated.
Yeah.
Kind of old school, kind of rock and roll, kind of do it that way. But you know what? The music that we have, everybody loves.
Absolutely. So a few more football questions before I let you get back to your real job and how lucky we are to have you with the city of Allen. So such a pleasure to be around and always so gracious with his time. So I have to ask you, your touchdown balls, do you have them still? Every one of the footballs that you caught, I imagine we could probably stand around the room there.
Well, I don't have them all, but I got a few of them hanging in that cabinet over there. And those are game balls that I had over there. And of course, some of the pictures that I have on the wall over here and then of course the Pro Bowl jersey that's up on the top that we having a little problem giving to you, but hey, life is good, Tommy. I shared with you my fact that I'm a resource development manager for the city of Allen, but I also broadcast for a company called Compass Media or Westwood One. Yeah. So I do the college game of the week. So I enjoy the process. I still got that football in me,
Absolutely. And you still look like you could get out there and play, if you had the opportunity. It's great because, we look at where the NFL is today, and I look at some of the guys that played, back when you were starring, and you mentioned Dorsett and God, how much fun was it to watch him run on Monday Night Football? And, even your tight ends, Billy Joe Dupree and, and Jay Saldy and Cosby, you guys had such a really good team. Do you feel like maybe you were shortchanged a little bit on the number of Super Bowls you should have won?
Without a question. I played in 5 NFC championship games. So what does that tell you? When
Yeah.
you get that close, man, you just got to feel. We missed Roger Staubach. Don't get me wrong. Danny White was a good quarterback, but he was no Roger Staubach. And
Yeah.
Staubach could take us to that next era. And his last year, we lost an NFC championship to the Los Angeles Rams, which we should have never lost, on what I would say, and I'll go publicly say, a fluke pass to Billy Waddy to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of stopped our reign. But again, what can you say? I played in 2 Super Bowls, 5 NFC championships. I played in the Pro Bowl. I played in the superstar, super teams. Man, I can't ask any more from what the Dallas Cowboys brought to my life.
This is a former Dallas Cowboy. I guess once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy, but now he's one of ours. He's works for the city of
I
Allen.
love it, Tommy. I love it, baby.
Absolutely. All right. If there is a player out there today that reminds you of Tony Hill, the way you played the game, it would be?
Well, I was a receiver that, I consider myself smooth and I like to run. My asset was running with the ball and catching, but there's a receiver out there that I think is pretty smooth. I hate to say it because he went to one of our rival schools. I went to Stanford. He went to Cal Berkeley, but he's a wide receiver out in San Diego by the name of Keenan Allen.
Oh, yeah.
I just kind of like his style. He's kind of fluid. He's smooth. He gets you a little extra yards. My whole big thing was the yak, and for your listeners out there, yak was huge to me. I averaged over 17 yards a catch in my career. One year I averaged 20 yards a catch. And that means that every time I caught the ball, I was giving you 20 yards. And so yak means that yards after catch. And every time I'd go to the game, I'm talking about yak, yak, yak. That's what I was bringing to the table.
So I got to ask you about a guy that I admire of modern day football here, and that's Cole Beasley. Followed his career at SMU. I was working at the Ticket at the time, and I was on the beat covering SMU football. So I was a Beasley fan before he made it to the Buffalo Bills. I grew up in Buffalo, so obviously I follow, number 11 there pretty much. And give us a story on Cole Beasley, because I know you guys have a very special relationship.
Well, and Cole and I go way back, and I'll make a long story short for all our listeners. I think he may have been 10 years old, 9 or 10. It could be 8. I'm going back. We went to Hoop It Up, and I had my son. I had a couple guys, and we were looking for some players. And there was these guys that are playing, and there's this one white dude. I say it like that. I don't mean it negatively, but he's playing on this all-black team. There's this one white guy. Smallest guy on the team, but he was giving the other players the business. I mean, he was the man. And so I reached out, I turned over to my son, who in fact was one of the smallest guys on our team as well. And I said, "What do you think?" He said, "Dad, we got to have him." So I recruited Cole, for lack of a better term. I had to talk to his mom, then his dad, had him on our team, and Cole played for me good 8 or 9 years. He's like part of the family, although he's that close, real close. Cole is an athlete. I mean, a major athlete. And the one story to show you what kind of heart he has, probably shouldn't go into that. It might be a little too graphic, Tom. So let me just share this one story. The fact is that Cole was slam dunking in the 9th grade. Wow. Hey, he was 5'6", maybe. He was when I say slam dunking, he was hitting the rim. 10th grade, he was bringing it home, and I used to I had to get on him. I said, "Hey man, here's the deal. If you take that, you go there to slam that ball, you better make it or you're coming out." And you know what? He had the heart and the courage to go for it, and he did it in the games. And so, I was firsthand. I can tell you right now, this guy's leaps, his ups are out off the chain. I've got a lot of great stories that I can give you off the air, Tommy, but I can tell you right now, he's a real player.
Well, this was a real pleasure to have you on today. Good catching up with you. Had lunch with Tony earlier this week, and it's just so much fun to see you and how great you've done your post football career. City of Allen is lucky to have you, and thanks again for giving us a couple of minutes and taking us back down memory lane. What a office you've got there with whole lot of great memorabilia.
Well, hey, Tommy, the reality is I'm truly blessed, and I realize it, and it really changed. That's really lightened my life. So I got a wonderful family. I got the big fella up there to keep an eye on me, and I got friends like you. How can I go wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have a chance to have somebody this big time on the Allen Americans Red, White, and You podcast every day. The original number 80 of your Dallas Cowboys, the one and only, Mr. Tony Hill.
Thank you very much, Tommy. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.